straight to Capitol Hill, where the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy are currently holding a press briefing. Remember, this is coming just one day after the Interior CS, Joseph Kaiseri, outlawed all protests. Let's listen in.
Not scared of being killed, tear gassed, arrested. Already we have deaths that are taken place. How do you give justification on the police shooting a 7 years old child, a 5 years old child, 15 years old child? How do you give justification when the police are throwing tear gas in people's houses? Women who are at home cooking and preparing meals for their children and their families, they are being repeatedly that is not the work of the police. That is the work of criminals who has been pushed into the police force, and now they are acting. So we are out to stop this, even if it means it is the last person in this country to do that. I want now to give a chance to my colleague now.
The continues thus by suspending Articles 37 effectively declared a state of emergency in Kenya. The Constitution is clear as to how the President can bring into force a state of emergency. Article 58 lays out steps that must be followed. If the President wants to declare a state of emergency, he must comply with Article 58 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. First, he must declare it openly and not delegate the declaration of the Secretary. The power of the Secretary. Secondly, the state of emergency cannot be enforced for more than 14 days, after which it can be only extended by the National Assembly. Not even the President can extend it. It is only the National Assembly that can extend it. And that extension is also for a term. For these reasons, CORD intends, on behalf of all the citizens of Kenya, to challenge the declaration of the state of emergency at the Supreme Court in accordance with Article 58. In the meantime, CORD will rightfully ignore the continued unconditional of security. And if you can recall the judgment by Justice Odunga, a judgment that provided the parameters of the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Interior, the issues with deployment and with the police force that he cannot participate in. His authority only extends to giving policy directives, and that was very clear in the judgment of the High Court. The reckless statements made by the President through the Secretary are unconstitutional and illegal, and only calls for denunciation and rejection. By the Cabinet Secretary acting on behalf of the President goes against the court order that was obtained just last week by a case not filed by us, but filed by legislators from Jubilee. And this is what the order said, because I think it's very clear to us as it is, as we are here today. The court made this order that pending petition herein, a petition filed by Jubilee, a conservatory order do issue by way of a mandatory order compelling the 9th respondent, and that is the police force, to ensure security, public safety, and observance of the law and order by the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respondents and such of the members of the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th respondents affiliated with them, whenever and wherever the said respondents and their members picket or demonstrate pursuant to any notification given under the Public Order Act. In other words, the court is saying it is upon us to give the notification, but once we give that notification, a mandatory order by the court that the functions of the police only extend to offering security and safety to us and members of the public. This order is still in force, and we are aware we have been given a notice of appeal challenging this order. The matter is now pending before the Court of Appeal in terms of suspending this order or having a temporary stay of this order. But the order of the court today is that we must be provided with security when we have given a notification of a meeting or a demonstration in accordance with the Public Order Act. And that is not by any force or authority in the Republic of Kenya. And as my brother has said, on the basis of this order, on the basis of this constitution, our demonstrations will continue, and we will continue to engage members of the public in pursuance of Article 1 of the Constitution by engaging them in this discourse until our resolve to get the IEBC disbanded is achieved. Thank you very much. Any questions? That's fine.
Maybe the government is citing the Kisumu incidents as a result of the decision made. Would you have to say with regards to that?
If you look at what happened in Kisumu, it is very clear that there was no violence that was caused by the demonstrators. Because, as I said before, the tear gassing was being thrown into people's houses. And you are the people who reported that, not coalition reported that. It is members of the Fourth Estate that reported that tear gassing was actually done in people's houses. Secondly, if you look at the children who has been shot there, seriously, can you say those are demonstrators? Can you say that those are the people who were out to cause chaos? The instant that happened can only be explained by Jubilee government. And that's why we are saying we are going to court. And we will go far, including going to the ICC. Because we don't want ICC to wait until 1,000 people are killed here. They can see we started with 1, then we went to 3, that's 4. Now we have 2, and we have others in the hospital. That number comes to 10. We want action now, not after 1,000 Kenyans have lost their lives, innocent.
If Kenya today mobilizes its military along the Kenya-Uganda border, or mobilizes its military along the Ethiopian and Kenyan border, according to international convention, perceived to be an act of hostility. because there's an understanding how borders are secured, where you deploy them. What happened in Kisumu, you could see 2 or 3 days before the demonstrations. These tanks were mobilized from Nairobi. Additional police presence was deployed in Kisumu, alerting the people in Kisumu that their demonstrations will not be allowed to take place the following day. And in any case, the police, including the government spokesman, had said there will be no demonstrations. Secondly, instead of looking at the demonstrators and escorting them to where they're going to go to hand their petition, that is the IEBC offices in Kisumu, which is somewhere near Milimani, the police concentrated their efforts in the estates where the people live, places like Onlele, trying to ensure that nobody left those estates to go for the demonstrations, which again was an act of provocation. Thirdly, in Kisumu, we know there's a militia sponsored by the TNA wing of and this supermarket dressed in uniform, and they identify some of them as being policemen who are throwing stones at the supermarket, breaking down the glasses. And if you look at the picture, you make the assumption that these are demonstrators or the ordinary living. No, this was part of the...
Well, that's happening right now at the Capitol Hill. Coalition for Reforms and Democracy officials saying they will go on with the demonstrations. This coming just a day after Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Kaiseri banned all demonstrations in the country, and the Attorney General also mentioned that the Constitution only protects demonstrators who are peaceful, but the demonstrations are increasingly becoming violent. But court insists the demonstrations are still on.